It's a little early for that. Oh, geez. Good morning. Good Wednesday morning. Today is what? August 19th. Already. Summer's going bye bye. I can't believe it. So fast. Then winter. Forget all fall. Fall's still good. I'm thinking already of winter. Oh, boy. Okay, let's get these set up. It's going to be 87 today. I'm definitely going out and enjoying the day. Not many days left like this of summer. Let me see. I gotta do a comment. Ha! They put out their dates. Oh, what the hell was that? Alright, hold on. Okay, set up. We're good. Good morning, Dave and Swiper. Today might be that day to do one last live stream from the pool. I'm not joking because the weather it's gonna turn. I was just saying I'm gonna spend the whole day as much as possible out there. Let me see what the weather's gonna be. And good morning, KJ, Marianne, Emanuelo. Dehydrated. I don't know. We're going to go check what's on the board today. 86 today. And tomorrow, 80. Friday, 80. Saturday, 75. Sunday, 78. Then 77, 78, 79, 77, 75, 76. This could be one of the last few days in the upper 80s until there's another like little heat bump. This is it. This is it. It's already coming. The turn. New heat dome to build in western U.S. further exacerbating drought. I am not too happy about looking at this forecast, I gotta be honest. Yes, a new day. Yes. I hope so. I'm getting in my pool today at 8 o'clock. At what? At 3? Dude, it's gonna be 86 today. I can't even check that. Somebody's outside. Might be mom with the cats. Let's go spy. It's gotta be. No, she maybe came back in because I don't see nothing on the cameras. She probably just got back in. Nope. Yeah, so this is it. Today probably 80s and then it goes to like 80 and below. The water temperature drops. That's the key. It's gonna be beautiful. It's the water temperature. IRGC. I'm gonna go check all that in a second. Yeah, we got Indian summer. But that's why. But it doesn't matter because the water temperature still drops because of the nighttime temperatures. Of course, I'm talking about Iran. I just started. I haven't even looked at Telegram yet. I'm just settling in. What's up, John? You had rain last night? We had it. Wow, the first you've had in months where you are? Wow. Damn. Merry Christmas. Don't say Christmas with KJ in chat. Don't get him started. I'm telling you. Big mistake. It would be good for my tomatoes. They don't ripen the right way with. Yeah. The temperatures like that. Anyway, let's see what the hell is going on. There's so many. I'm just going to go to the newest. Oh shit. Turkish media warn of direct clash with Israel after strike on Syrian airbase. The top Iranian commander warns Persian Gulf states against aggression. And then they said Israel's aggression against Syria is is bringing it dangerously close to Turkey's southern border and raising the risk of direct confrontation between Ankara and Tel Aviv, Turkish media have warned. Oh shit, see, this is what I mean. Iraqi, not Iranian. Iraqi parliament speaker tells Iranian counterpart that the Zionist tumor must be surgically removed. Iraqi parliament speaker scorches Zionist delusions. From river to sea, not even in your wildest dreams. That's an Iraqi prime minister, parliament speaker. So that when Ghalibaf landed in Iraq, he said his trip is in line with reinforcing a new order in the region without foreign interference. Ghalibaf says the Islamic resistance in Iraq has become a major source of strength for both Iran and Iraq. Stressing that resistance discourse has expanded beyond the region and gained global reach. Okay, that's about that. Let's go to this one. The U.S. ambassador to the occupied Palestinian territories. That's how they put it. The option of a full-scale war against Iran is being considered. So allegedly they're saying that the U.S. ambassador said this. Again, you got to take everything I'm reading to you with a grain. Okay, that's about Yemen. More about what's going on in Yemen and Saudi Arabia. I'll be right back, everybody. I gotta go check to see what the dog is.
Oh, no, you left him out.
I let him out. What do you mean?
Oh, you left him out.
I just took him outside for a walk. How
Oh,
could I let
yeah?
him out?
So what did you bring him back?
What do you mean?
Huh?
He's here. He's in the house. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
no, I know how you do things, And then they look good.
What are you talking about?
I know, oh, no, I don't know.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. No, I don't know until I talk to somebody.
Under the bed. Tycho's under the bed.
Okay.
Tycho's under the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tycho's under the bed. There's nothing there. I'm live too.
So,
We're people watching, just so you know. There's nothing there. Here, you want one? I'll give you one.
we don't have to be friends now.
Yeah.
You did enough damage.
All right, here. Go. Go ahead. There's no lighter here. Anyway, where was I? Keep reading. All right, let's see what else is going on. I'll be right back. Something's going on in the front here. Those are Reese's Pieces. All right, let's see. What is Vahid saying? If Donald Trump, this is what they're saying. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday, citing two senior Iranian officials, that if Donald Trump decides to escalate the conflict, Iran will consider targeting military bases in southeastern Europe. According to the report, a military base in Bulgaria and a NATO base in Cyprus are among the potential new targets for Iran in the event of escalation in the conflict. The Bulgarian parliament approved for the use of one of the country's military bases by the United States last month. The same two unnamed officials also stated that the Iranian armed forces have separately considered attacking underwater fiber optics. They've been talking about that. Cables in the strait. A NATO official told the Anadolu news agency, NATO is ready to respond to any threat and will always do whatever is necessary to defend all of its allies. These statements came after reports emerged that Iran... I'll be right back. I have to stop this noise in the background. I'm going to mute. I can't do this while I'm live talking to all of you while this noise is going on in the background. I'll be right back. Okay. Where was I? What are we making? Oh, about the tomatoes. Anyway, where was I? A NATO official told them that they're ready to respond. And these statements came after reports emerged that Iran is considering attacking U.S. military targets in Europe if Donald Trump further escalates the conflict. The NATO official also referred to the interception of Iranian ballistic missiles earlier this year, stating that NATO's air defense systems intercepted missiles heading toward Turkey in 4 separate incidents. He described this action as a sign of NATO's strength and the effectiveness of its deterrence and defense capabilities. That would be a very big mistake on Iran's part if they were to strike a NATO country. Then if the president said, I need your help, NATO, they have to come. NATO country was struck. Iran is the target. That's legit. Would they do anything considering what's going on with Russia? Movements in Poland now, a lot going on in Poland. I don't know. But NATO put a statement out. Be careful, Iran. Iran secures $7.5 billion in oil revenues over the first 4 months of 2026. That's what they're claiming. Fars news agency. That's what they're putting out there. Lebanese speaker of the president. The United States and President Trump are the only ones capable of compelling Israel to end its war, implement a ceasefire, and withdraw to the international border in the south. At that point, I guarantee the immediate deployment of the Lebanese army. That wasn't part of the agreement. In southern Lebanon, with the Lebanese army serving as the sole security force and the only entity possessing weapons in that area. That's not. They were supposed to go in there as Israel was withdrawing and help secure the area as they're withdrawing and filling it in with the Lebanese army. Now they're switching it up. That is changing the terms right there. Not that after they leave, withdraw, then they go in completely. No. You see, this is the game. People don't realize that it was not what was mentioned. It looks like they're changing that now. They were supposed to fill the void as Israel was withdrawing from the territory. The Lebanese army would go in and secure that area. Now they're saying they got to completely withdraw. I guarantee the immediate deployment of the Lebanese army. So that means they're not deployed in southern Lebanon, with the Lebanese army serving as the sole security force and the only entity possessing weapons in that area. Oh, really? You're going to guarantee that the Hezbollah is not going to go back and fill in that void in southern Lebanon? Really? We need other eyes there, not Israeli eyes. We need international to make sure that shit don't happen, because you can't trust that with the Lebanese. There's no fucking way with Hezbollah. There's no way. Israel is no way going to accept that. There's no way. We'll go in afterwards. What do you mean? You're supposed to go in during. While they're withdrawing, you go in and secure that area and prevent Hezbollah from retaining it. How fucking stupid. Good morning, Angel. And Moses. Tammy. Butterfly. What the hell is all this? Not important. There really isn't much going on right now this morning. Just the same thing about Iran is eyeing bases that are part of Europe. That would be a major, major mistake. Oh, what's this asshole saying? The Yemeni Yellow. The Yemeni armed forces have become so powerful that we are now dictating terms. Oh, they just as emboldened as Iran. And who's helping the Houthis become a powerful force that is dictating the terms? Iran. So obviously, it's so obvious who the threat in the region is for peace and stability. It's so obvious. The head of the snake, Iran. And the support of their proxies in Iraq, in Yemen, in Lebanon, Syria, you name it. It's actually crazy because since this campaign started, they have gotten worse. These proxies have actually gotten worse. The only one that's been holding back, because Iran told them to, is Hezbollah, except for targeting the Israeli troops in southern Lebanon and along the border with Israel. Because they were probably told by Iran, don't hit Israel itself. But they're trying to keep Israel out of it until they're ready to maybe take action against Israel. But other than that, look at what these proxies are doing. Look at the proxies in Iraq targeting Saudi with the Houthis. those are supported by Iran. I mean, look what's going on. They're so emboldened. It's like the proxy war has gotten worse since this all started. And it was predicted that at some point the Houthis were going to get involved, and that strait would be part of this whole thing too. That was always discussed. It's just that when they were going to do it. It wasn't the if, it was the when. So strategically, who's 2 steps ahead or behind? Ask yourself that question and answer it honestly. It's very concerning. So this is what happened with that whole thing with Syria and Israel. Just to put it back up on the screen. Hold on. Oh, this thing is acting wonky. Why is that not working? Okay. Prime Minister Office. Israel and Syria agreed to a status quo in security matters, which Syria was on the verge of breaching by permitting Turkish troops to deploy at an air base near Aleppo. Israel repeatedly warned Syria that such a deployment would pose a threat to Israel's security. Syria chose to ignore these warnings. Israel will not tolerate threats to its security and will welcome a return to the status quo. So they're trying to de-escalate, defuse the situation. Meanwhile, Turkey said they may directly attack Israel. Israel's under enormous pressure right now, even from the United States, the president. I don't know. Yeah, that Yemeni yeller stuff is going all over the place. It's all over. Oh my God. Tucker must have said something that set off the Israelis. Tucker Carlson said, and I don't know, this is what they're saying. Tucker Carlson said Israeli schools don't use plus signs because they look like a cross. And then the comment below that they made, this might be the dumbest thing Tucker Carlson has ever said. Wow. So they don't use plus signs in school because it looks like a cross. Oh boy. Anyway, Jesus. Waking up to this, it's like the blood pressure goes up. It's like, and it's not even. Sounds like they're trying to start World War III. You got to remember, and I've been saying it, and some people are trying to say, oh, they're working behind the scenes. Maybe. They're still surrounded. Israel is still surrounded by countries that don't like Israel or support Israel. Turkey and Israel have like the worst relations right now currently than it's been in decades. And it's deteriorating fast. Now the president, remember what he said. They had some kind of agreement, Israel, Syria, about any kind of crossing into and taking on Hezbollah. But when the Turkish thing got involved, they said, no, 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 not that. Because the president, remember that? He said, maybe the Syrian government can take care of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Remember that? And now this thing with Turkey, and I would not doubt it. I would not doubt this. The alliance grows. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. Remember when they signed that pact? What was it, last week or the week before? I would not be surprised if Egypt and Syria and Iraq, I don't know about Iraq, but other countries sign on to that defense pact. And guess what happens if Israel does anything to any of them? Forget about the Abraham Accords. Goodbye. They're looking at this strategically too. This could really isolate Israel, especially that they know that the president is putting pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu. They know they got the United States. They're going to use that to their advantage. Because they say, oh shit, this is a good opportunity. The United States is putting a lot of pressure on Bibi not to do anything. Why is my neighbor calling me? What's happening?
Nothing much, Billy. What's going on, man?
No, you saw that though. Thank you, God. I'm so happy for you because that was the problem with the water leak. The backyard is so dry now.
Oh, nice. And you know what happened?
No, don't tell me something else happened.
I called for the water bill. I spoke to the supervisor, and they cut the bill half.
Wow!
Yep.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that, man. They called me today, supervisor, and he told me, yeah, I have excellent record, paying on time, last 30 years, whatever I got the house, and that helped.
Well, you know what? Thank God, like we said, it's over.
Yes, but it was good, man. Like over $600 break they gave me.
Oh God, that's a nice little surprise.
Yeah, Billy, man, it was a lot of money, man, a lot of money.
But it's fixed. That's the main thing. It's fixed.
Yes, it's all dry, right?
Oh, it's great. It's great. It's like I told you the pictures. I even did the side where I got stuck in the mud.
Wow, nice. So that was the problem.
That was the problem. It was overflowing back there. So, like I said, there's no more worries. You don't have to worry about nothing no more with the house. Because actually, they're going away Thursday till Tuesday. So they told me if I could keep an eye on the house for them. I said, oh, of course. And then he says, but I got cameras and stuff. Well, I said, well, don't be surprised if you see me mowing the lawn. He goes, I see you all the time doing it. It says, person mowing lawn.
They have a camera too. I didn't know that.
Because he says, I told him, you might, because he told me he had the cameras. And I said, well, you might see me mowing the lawn. He goes, I see you all the time doing it.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of funny that he's already watching me while I'm mowing the lawn.
Oh, so they know that when we go to the basement in and out. Yeah.
Because they have it in the front and the side.
Okay.
I mean, if we went to the basement from my house through your property, from my property, they probably wouldn't see us. But they got the camera in the front and the side, so anybody who comes from that direction, from the driveway, the front, they're going to see us.
Okay.
But it's fine. That's good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, and then I move, we're going to put cameras all over.
I got a very good system for you that I use. And it's inexpensive, and it's going to take some time to set it up, and it's wireless.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's like I have 8 cameras outside plus 3 rings. I have 11 cameras outside.
Wow, and I'm going to put 2 rings by the 2 doors.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? We're going to put a camera above the entry to the basement, like looking down that way.
Yes.
On the side of the house, the side where the shade is, that side.
Yeah.
Everywhere, backyard, everywhere.
Yeah, we're going to do it. It's not expensive now.
It's not. It's the system I got, and it records, and The police could, they if anything happens, it's all connected. It's fucking great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So again, everything is good in the house next door. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Okay, Billy. Just wanted to let you know, man.
Dad, that's great news about the water bill cutting in half. Oh my God, your wife must be happy.
I spoke to them, yeah, man. I spoke to them yesterday. They were so nice. I don't know, man. Very nice.
Oh,
They were
I mean, it's fucking water. I mean, do you know what I mean? You're charging people for water. The least they can do is cut your, you told them you had a leak and everything, obviously.
Yeah, I told them, and I fixed it, and and then the lady took my complaint yesterday, and today the supervisor called me and says I'm gonna cut it to us.
And you know what's funny too? Because they can monitor, they can check to see that it's been fixed because they see that the water all of a sudden has slowed down in usage.
Yes.
So they know that you did fix it because it's changed. Do you know what I mean? They know you're telling the truth, So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Anyway, maybe I'll see you next weekend and you could take care of me because I'm doing a lot of stuff on Labor Day weekend. I'm going to be super crazy busy.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, just call me. And we also got to think about the fall. I don't know how much we didn't get much snow last winter, but I want to check that snow blower, all that.
Yeah, because I don't think Josh knows a lot about it. Yeah, you're right.
Another thing too is I put air in all the tires. Oh, I wanted to tell you. You know your Cub Cadet that I used for mowing the lawn?
Yeah.
I tried it on my property. I drove it from your house to my driveway, went down. And I did my property. It took like 20 minutes to do my property with that, then over an hour with the push mower.
Then you should take my machine, man.
But you know what I did? I filled the tires with air while I was over here.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do in October when the last cut happens, like when I'm gonna drop the oil. I'm gonna change the oil. I'm gonna tune it up.
Yeah. Just let me know whatever it is.
Yeah.
Go buy the oil and everything.
Yeah, because I want to get it ready for next year.
Yeah.
Because it's working great. I mean, I've had no problems with the Cub Cadet this year.
Yeah, man. That they good.
I was there when you bought it. I remember we went to buy it. I remember when you bought it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great thing. Anyway, send my love. That's great news. And call me if anything.
Okay, Billy. Okay, so I'm gonna see you next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, send my love.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
He owns that house. He lives in New York City. He retired. In April of next year, his wife retires. Then he's moving to the house. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have fun together. He's from Turkey. Actually, the islands. What an amazing person he is. Great person, great neighbor. You see, take the Cadet, cut your lawn. Use it. That's what neighbors do. That's at least how we do. Same thing with my neighbor up there, if she's watching on Facebook, Margaret. We're always there for each other. Same thing with the guy next door with his new husky. He's so cool. That's my wiffle ball partner over there. We play wiffle ball sometimes together on the property. So it's good to have that because there's no houses on this side. There's only that, and there. Then it's very spacey here. It's not like close together. So that covers almost like at least an eighth to a quarter of a mile in perimeter. That's all you need. Then yes, I talk to the other neighbors when I'm walking and bike riding. That's different. Anyway, what's going on in here? What's going on this morning? Not much. To be honest. The same old. I caught up pretty much on all the telegrams. But there's more. And you see, I know him since I moved here, 20 years. I'm in charge of that house. Anything, they call me. The tenants. I'm in charge of those houses. I have the keys, everything. In case of an emergency. I'm seeing what else is going on here. See, this is crazy. We'll go to it. I think you need to see this. This is how dangerous the situation is over there. Turkish media warn of direct clash with Israel after strike on Syrian airbase. Now let me ask you this question. Israel's aggression against Syria is bringing it dangerously close to Turkey's southern border and raises the risk of direct confrontation between Ankara and Tel Aviv, Turkish media has warned. The Zionist regime carried out, see how they use that word? The Zionist regime carried out 8 airstrikes on Tuesday against the military air base in eastern, Idlib? Around 20 kilometers from Turkey, damaging its runway and storage facilities. And this has been going on, this escalation between Turkey...
Yankees beat the Orioles 3-1.
Alexa, stop. This has been going on for quite some time now. It's been building up with Erdogan and Netanyahu. Really, it really escalated after October 7th.
Well,
Alexa, stop.
70.
Now, here's the question I want to ask all of you, and I just want to see your responses on this. I'm curious. If there was an altercation between Turkey and Israel struck Turkey territorially, a NATO country, what happens? Would the United States, because of NATO, protect a NATO country, or will they go against NATO and support Israel? What do you think President Trump would choose? Support of Israel against a NATO chapter? An attack on one is an attack on all. If they were to attack Turkey, Turkey is a NATO country, one of the first ones. Does the United States take that NATO position, or do they go against that and defend Israel? That is an interesting... I don't even want to know what kind of scenario that would create. Support Israel. I don't like Turkey. I don't trust Erdogan. I think Turkey should not be part of NATO. That's just my opinion. I remember posing the very same question not too long ago. I think Trump will back Israel. So Thomas says, I'm sure Turkey isn't part of North Atlantic. How the hell Turkey became NATO? Sean, Turkey was one of the first nations to become part of NATO. You need to look that up. They were one of the first countries to be part of NATO. It's just that, just like anything else, things change over time. Politics, environment, conditions. They were one of the earliest, first countries to be part of NATO. Do I think they should be part of NATO? Absolutely not, because they're two-faced. They work with the Russians. They work with the Chinese. They work with everybody. How is that NATO? You know how much military equipment they buy? They just don't buy from us or NATO countries. They buy from the other side too. It's crazy how they work. It's NATO ain't real anymore. Yeah, again, do you say Turkey was really good pre 2000s? That's what I'm saying. Times change, conditions change. Alexa, what year did Turkey join NATO? I think it was in the late 40s.
Turkey joined NATO in 1952,
Oh, shit.
becoming a member on February 18th, 1952.
I was off by a little. So 1952. Like I said, early stages of NATO. So that's a problem. I agree, John. I don't know how they're still part of NATO. But again, they are part of NATO. I don't know what the process is of trying to remove someone. Is there going to be like a vote by all the NATO countries? And could you imagine bringing up that vote? I don't know how the process is. I've never looked into that. What does it take to remove a country from NATO? We'll have to do research on that. And I'm not going to get into that right now. But what's up, Mr. Hobbs? I see you. That was a while ago. I don't know if you're still there. Yeah, I just read it, John. So John says Turkey is NATO 1952 because we had nukes there for Cold War. Excellent point. And flying spy planes from there. Excellent points. They were strategically important. Which is why a lot of other stuff happens too. All right, wait, there's more coming from Telegram. The chief of the General Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, Major General Ali Abdullahi, warns Persian Gulf states that any assistance to the U.S. Army amounts to partnership with the American Armed Forces. So they do this all the time. They try to apply pressure to these countries, the Persian Gulf countries, that if you get rid of the United States and tell them to leave, there's no problem. If they continue to stay there and you're working in coordination with them and allowing them to be there to attack us, well, then you're a target. That's pretty much what they've been saying. That's been ongoing. That's not new. They make it sound like it's a warning, a new warning. That's bullshit. They've been saying that forever. Oh, here we go. Commander, and this is all new, it's coming out on their posts on Telegram. Commander of Iran's IRGC, Quds Force, says that usurpers of Palestine in the occupied territories have been afflicted with a social cancer. Collapse from within is their inevitable fate. He added that the savage and unleashed terrorists in the West Bank cannot push the global cause of Palestine to the margins. Annexation is out of the question and collapse is certain. Ah, boy. It's just a matter of time when things really pop off in the Middle East. I'm telling you, it's a keg. It's ready to pop. It's ready to blow. Whether it's Israel, whether it's us, whether it's another country, it's just not good. It's something big is coming in that region. I don't know who's going to start it, but something's going to happen. It's a powder keg. It just needs one little spark, and it's going to blow up. I'm telling you. It's that close. It's that close. See? And they told CNN. Iran International. NATO is prepared to respond to threats against its members, an alliance official told CNN. after the Financial Times reported that Iran had considered striking U.S. military targets in Europe if Washington escalates the war. The official said NATO is prepared to address any threat and will always do what is necessary to defend all allies. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday, citing people close to Iran's leadership, that Tehran had weighed attacks on U.S. military targets in Europe if President Donald Trump intensifies the conflict. They even threatened the UK. Like, what, 2-3 weeks ago? You're a legitimate target if you're allowing U.S. planes to launch from the UK that are targeting Iran. Probably alluding to the bombers at the time. So there's a lot of rhetoric. They're full of that. We know that. See, now then there's this point. And I don't know what much of a voice he has in Iran. But the former president, ex-president, warns Iran against losing unprecedented opportunity with Trump. So you see, there are individuals, allegedly, this is what they're reporting on Iran International, warning that Iran could face serious problems if the opportunity created by it is lost. He's talking about the MOU. His official media channel published excerpts of his remarks. He described the MOU as unprecedented, saying he believed it gave Iran significant benefits while placing substantial commitments on Washington. Since World War II, no document signed by a U.S. president has given this many advantages to the other side and imposed this many commitments on itself. If we lose the opportunity created by this memorandum, we will face extraordinary problems. This memorandum has no parallel. The only problem is, that's what Iran keeps saying. The U.S. has to agree to everything on the memorandum. But then they're throwing other shit in the game. Because if you go read the Memorandum of Understanding, whoever came up with the writing in that was very general. They didn't think it out too well when they agreed to sign to it, because there's a lot of little loophole areas. It's too generalized. It's not specific enough. So Iran is wiggling around these points that were said on the Memorandum of Understanding. But if you remember what it said, potentially $300 billion in reparations to Iran to help them rebuild Iran. That's part of the MOU. The United States and Iran signed it. That's what they want. But then they're throwing more shit in the game now. Iran. Khatami was our JFK. He wore silk robes and speaks fluent English and French, I think. Khatami was the only era that women had rights in Iran. Let me ask you this question then, Sean. Let me ask you this question. Knowing, you're Iranian, and I pray for your father and your family, If he, and he's an older man now, if Khatami were to, let's take Reza Pahlavi out of the question right now. If somehow this man was put back in power as a supreme leader, would that be acceptable to the Iranian people? I know you're going to talk about the IRGC besiege, everything else has to change to the hardliners, but if he was the supreme leader and he's supposed to be the one calling the shots and the IRGC takes their command from the supreme leader, would that be acceptable to you? You say no. Why would you? Now explain to me why no. If you say he was like your JFK and because he was still a hardliner regime ideological nut job, explain to me why you say no. I'm curious. How can you get any sort of agreement when they all want to destroy each other for numerous reasons? They hate each other so much. It's true. That's why you can't trust any agreement, because it's not going to be held. It'll be just a matter of days, weeks, or months before, poof, someone's going to violate it because they don't like what's going on. If a deal ever got signed in phase 2, which could take months, but maybe that's the delay they want, to say that they're talking, ceasefires all over the place, gives both sides time to do what they got to do to regroup. But again, the markets calm down. Maybe we get traffic going through like it used to be, 100, 120 ships per day. While they're talking, we're restocking. Khatami Kaur is an Islamic Republic. Even so, he is liberalist. He is not that powerful. He would get assassinated sooner or later, just like you're like, yes. That's true. He wouldn't last long. They'd take him out. Plus, the Assembly of Experts would never even choose this guy to be the supreme leader, because they're the ones who decide. He would not even come up. They have other hardliners that they would prefer to have in there than the old ex-president as supreme leader. So I get it. There's no way the Assembly of Experts would pick him as their next supreme leader if the mouse is announced as dead or becomes dead. So I get it. I just wanted to see, what you'd say about that. Because, that you know a lot more than a lot of us because of your background. Obviously. So, okay, so we move on from Khatami. Uh, 2 hours ago. This is Iran International. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, that's the other guy, he wears glasses, said on Wednesday that countries in the region had come to view the U.S. military presence in West Asia as a source of insecurity, trying to put pressure on the United States backing out of the region. He said that Washington's allies had also concluded that the United States was unreliable. He argued that descriptions of Iran as a supporter of terrorism, human rights violator, and religious dictatorship has been used to justify sanctions and war against the country. Well, what about your own people? Have you ever asked your own people what they think about this part? Right here? You say that the United States, that's the United States opinion. What about the majority of the people in Iran? What do they think about that? Your comment. That's the hypocrisy. Ask your own people that question. It's nonsense. And like I said, you're always going to have balance in numbers. Of course, there's probably a few million that support the regime. But how many of the people are against the regime and want to see regime change and change in Iran? Also, a proposed Strait of Hormuz security bill would place management, monitoring, and inspection of the waterway under Iran's Armed Forces General Staff, Iranian lawmaker, said on Wednesday. He said that the bill would bar Israeli vessels and ships deemed to be engaged in espionage or hostile activity. The Armed Forces General Staff would determine tolls and service fees for vessels crossing the strait, with lawmakers considering a mechanism requiring payment in Iranian rials. The bill would also allow Iran to raise tariffs or seize assets belonging to a government it deemed hostile if Iran if Iranian interests were harmed anywhere in the world. This is crazy. They're getting more emboldened by the day. Okay, that's old. Wow, Shin hasn't put nothing up new. What time is it? So Israeli artillery fire reported southern Lebanon. That's been going on daily. So they're saying satellite images reveal damage at the military airport in Syria caused by Israeli shelling. 4 target points are visible on the airport's runways, which had recently been undergoing renovation work with Turkish assistance. That's why they're pissed. So there's the before and the after. The before and the after. You could see how they hit the runway. I could barely see that one. I could see that. Allegedly, this is satellite imagery. Kim Yo Jong, director of the General Affairs Department of the Workers' Party of Korea, says she is unaware of any recent communications between DPRK leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump. So they're pretty much denying that they had a conversation. Though he said that I did. When asked the question, did he speak with Kim Jong-un directly? He kind of hesitated and then he said, yeah, I did. So now they're denying it. That could be a lie. That's that public. That's behind closed doors, behind the scenes. All right. Khatami, all of them are reformists, like a real Islamic republic as a real republic of Western government by Islamic ideas. It's just not going to work. I'm thinking of every possibility now, but they are too deep in it to say, hey, we are going to reform the way you want, so forgive our sins. But you say that, but the United States is looking for an out here. They've made it clear it's not about regime change, but about the regime changing their ways. That could be something acceptable as a way out, Sean. I'm just telling you. My opinion. That could be a way for them to wiggle out of it. So technically, if they reform, they would lose both people and their power, the power of the IRGC and Basij, because for almost 50 years they haven't given others any chance. I get that 100%. I personally don't like the Islamic Republic ever. It is, if it's perfect republic, it's like voting democracy for republic. Islam is religious. I'm a nationalist. I get it 100%. I get it. It's a limitation of your personal rights to have this regime in place, regardless of who's in control. I get it. And like you said, it's the religion itself. A theocracy that's controlling everything. I get it. I understand. I'm just not sure that regime change is going to happen. Then what? I'm not so sure that's going to happen. Until I see evidence otherwise that convinces me, I'm not going to go on hope saying, oh, the big one's coming. Something big is going to change the regime's way of behaving. They're going to come to the table. They're going to negotiate. I just don't see that. Even with a big attack, I still don't see it. Unfortunately, I just don't see it. We had an opportunity in the very beginning, and we blew it. That's when it should have happened, at the very beginning, when we were pounding the shit out of them. And remember, they were scrambling. They were vacating their checkpoints. Remember that? The Israelis were using drones and taking out people in fucking cars, checkpoints, all that. Remember that? We had an opportunity. They were in chaos and they were in fear and they all were going in hiding. Remember that? And what the fuck did we do? Put a ceasefire in place. Again, just like after the 12th day. Again. You know what I'm saying? Opportunities were lost here. My opinion. Not acceptable to Iranian people. We revolted on the promise that our country wouldn't become a puppet state. That would directly be some sort of puppet state, meaning a state that the U.S. wants. Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that. Independent. We will revolt again. I will go back personally to do it. But it was clear, even by Reza Pahlavi, that the assistance to help to weaken the regime, the IRGC, the Basij, and everything else, but he made it clear it is up to the Iranian people to make their own destiny. All the Iranian people were saying, give us that chance on a level playing field and we'll do it ourselves. They weren't asking for boots on the ground. They weren't asking for any of that. They were willing to do it themselves and are still to this day. So, and that's why the United States was careful not to say, well, who would you like to see as the interim transitional leader in Iran if the regime fell? They didn't want to say Reza Pahlavi. You know why? Because then people would say exactly what you just said there. He would be a puppet of the United States. That's why they were careful not to say anything like that. Or discount that his name was even mentioned, even though they privately, his group and our administration were meeting behind the scenes in the beginning. So you know that. And I don't think it's just me. It's not all negative because IRGC bending the knee to U.S. is a step forward. But do you think the IRGC is going to bend the knee to the United States, or will they? And don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of discourse and, you know, potentially that there are people thinking, maybe I should get the fuck out of here and desert. There got to be some that think that. It's not 100%, but there's still a lot of the hardcore martyr, goat-loving people that would be willing to die than surrender. Trump said that, but Reza Pahlavi said to stay at home. Well, wait a minute now. People listen to him. Let's be clear on that. Wait, hold up on that. Because he told them those 2 nights to go out and protest, stay in big groups, and march. It was a Friday night and a Saturday night. I'll never forget because I was covering it. And Trump said some things too, like go out, take your institutions back. Trump promoted that too, about the people. Take to the streets, go take your institutions back. Remember he said that at the beginning? Then what happened? Massacre. So I don't think anybody wants to do that right now unless they know that the Iranians are capable of taking to the streets and given a chance, an opportunity to take back their country. But you know the IRGC, the Basij, the security forces, the police forces, they're going to target their people. And we could see another freaking massacre in Iran. if the Iranians are not ready to fight back and have a fair chance to fight back. It's not. I'm telling you. I could bring it up. I could bring it up when he said, "Go out at 8 o'clock tonight, march." I'm telling you. I remember I covered it. Now it's like on hold, but at the beginning, he told them to go out. He told them to go out. I remember it clearly because I covered it. I can pull it up. And what are the 2 nights that they got slaughtered? I know. I'm so worried about the Iranian people, Sean, on that. We know they tried to arm the protesters in the early stages, but the Kurds or whoever it was kept the weapons, which needs to be an investigation on how that went down. How the United States was secretly providing weapons. They were hoping to get to the Iranian people on the ground in Iran, but somehow the people that it was given to, that was supposedly giving it to the Iranian people, kept them or sold them or whatever. I want to know the details. I want to know what kind of arms, how much arms, who was involved in this, and how it went shit show, sideways. You don't hear nothing about that. That's bad. That they kept it. And the intention was that to get to the people in Iran to give them a fighting chance. It never got there. Because they kept it. The U.S. was providing it to them. It just didn't get there. I hear you, all the years that you're putting in there. That's so sad that you have to put all those years in there, Sean. I would like to know how that shit went down. I've never seen any. It's been so vague. Well, this is old, but still. They denied. The Kurds denied that they were ever involved. They denied it, that they were part of this arms shipment. But then the president, Trump, says Kurds kept guns meant for Iran protesters. What's up with that? In a phone interview to Trey Yingst, that the United States has sent weapons to the Kurds that were meant to make their way into the hands of the Iranian protesters, but never did. President Trump told me the United States sent guns to the Iranian protesters. He tells me we sent them lots of guns. We sent them to the Kurds. And the president says he thinks the Kurds kept them. He went on to say, we sent guns to the protesters, a lot of them. What happened? What happened? Lots of guns? How much? What exactly did you send that was intended for the Iranian protesters? I want to know how that went south. But then, at the same time, the Kurds responded. I remember this. Some people have short-term memory. Have publicly rejected President Donald Trump's claim that they kept the U.S. weapons intended for Iranian protesters, calling the allegations false and potentially dangerous as fighting between the U.S. and Israel and Iran continues. This was in April. Kurdish leaders said that no such weapons were delivered and warned that the claim could cause them to retaliation from Tehran. But the problem is, who are the Kurds making these statements? Because there are those that support Iran and those that don't. And you see what's going on right now in northern Iraq, Erbil, etc. So they're saying they're denying it, but that's a lie. So what happened with that? Now, I would hope they're still trying to get weapons on the ground to the people in Iran. I would hope. Much more carefully this time. Not that shit show. Do you know what I mean? Amir says, I think it didn't happen. Oh, forget about MEK. Well, I don't know. How do you think of how do you feel about MEK? I know Goldie and the others are not fans of MEK. Though we have politicians here in the United States that are. Giuliani, Pompeo, there's a few. My question is, what are they going to do with it and when? I think the Kurds are battling the Iranians. I think the Iranians are really concerned that there's going to be some kind of incursion into Iran from Iraq. Backed by US maybe? Have you seen the Iranian Kurd general called the Kurdish Stalin? No, I have not. I have not. MEK are the worst. So there you go. So, a lot of things have to fall into place because I don't want to see another. And the president has said it, they need to stay home. They'll get massacred all over again. They could, regardless of how this ends up, regardless if the regime stays, goes, whatever, Iran still has a major crisis, catastrophic, to deal with afterwards. You still have so many economic problems. I mean, the people are suffering, water supply, food, you name it. Medicine, and even from internally, prices of gas up in the country, goods, everything. How much can the people take before they say, that's it, we're done, we don't even care, we're going to try to get this country back? It's either that or die from starvation, die from some disease due to lack of medical care. I think a time is coming in Iran eventually anyway that the people are going to rise up. It's a matter of time that there's going to be something going on in Iran. I truly believe that. I don't know if necessarily it's going to happen now with the current situation, but I think at some point in the future it will. That's just my opinion. But the thing is, the IRGC and the regime are just not going to take it. And they will kill their own people like they've done in the past. Numerous times. Anytime there was a major uprising protest. And you said it. So, I mean, like I said, if it ended tomorrow, how much do you think the regime is going to actually filter that out to rebuild the infrastructure in Iran? Not just weapons and funds for the IRGC and themselves, the regime themselves, to put them back in a position. Who do you think is last on the list? The people. This is a serious problem in Iran for the people of Iran. The conditions, the living conditions right now. War or no war. Because remember, a lot of them took to the streets because of the economy before this even started. That's what a lot of the protests were about. They were tired of it. They wanted change. The markets closed, remember? That's what sparked this. It was their own economy was in collapse then. It's incredibly worse now. I don't get it. And a lot of people that are in that chat from the beginning that have been here know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you just know from following it. It's a joke in Iran that not only he will conquer Tehran, Mosul, and Baghdad, he will also conquer Berlin. Oh my God, Sean. No, bro, they haven't even cleaned my city's riverside for 20 years. Last time was 2003-4. They cleaned it. Wow. That's horrible. What's the water supply in Tehran now? There were plans to move the capital to the south because of the water shortage up to the north. The water supply cannot be good right now. I don't know if what's going on, but it was really bad. They were talking about that water was going to run out by the end of the year near Tehran. I don't know what the current situation is, but I don't know if it's been improving. Have they been getting rain? Is there? That's a serious problem. What's the population of Tehran? Alexa, what's the population of Tehran, Iran?
Tehran's population is about 8.7 million people as of 2026.
Is it that many people, Sean? Is that right? Holy shit, that's like 10% of the country population. Change of capital wasn't only because of Zaheran. Tehran is like 9 to 12 million. Oh my God, I didn't know there was that many people in Tehran. Oh my God. I didn't know it was that many. Holy, that's, oh my God. So they've got major. I gotta see if there's anything for the last week on this. Oh, I don't know. This is. Oh, let me see what that is. Invaders, animals or people? The cat. So this is an article from, I don't see a date. August 7th. Oh, this is old. But this is even before. This is August 7th a year ago. And they were talking about is Iran running out of water near Tehran. I don't know why they put that as 1 day ago. It says 1 day ago. Okay, so this was today. Saudi press. Today. Iran faces escalating water crisis as protests spread. Severe shortages leaves millions without water, at least 3 killed during nationwide demonstrations. Iran is confronted with water crisis that left an estimated 28 million without reliable access to water, sparking widespread protests that have continued for 7 consecutive nights. Officials confirmed at least 3 fatalities. Security forces used live ammunition to disperse demonstrators in some regions. Authorities reported that the water levels in reservoirs have dropped by as much as 15 meters. Wow. Oh my God. In the past year, with major dams in southern provinces holding less than 15%, so it's widespread throughout the country. Some reports indicate certain reservoirs are nearly depleted. The crisis follows 5 years of prolonged drought and rainfall approximately 40 below normal. The capital's main dam is projected to supply water for only 1 more month, raising concerns that Tehran could face critical shortage by the end of September. Holy shit. On August 19th, a network failure left 370,000 residents in Kamabad without drinking water. The government has restricted internet access in 27 of Iran's 31 provinces and imposed rolling blackouts lasting 6 to 12 hours daily across most of the country. Environmental analysts note that around 90% of Iran's fresh water is consumed by agriculture, where outdated flood irrigation methods contribute to high levels of waste. Intensive extraction of groundwater has caused land subsidence in several provinces, with areas sinking up to 30 centimeters annually. Wow. The Karun River, and other historically vital waterways sources have been severely depleted, while once prominent wetlands such as Hamun have largely dried up. Temperatures have intensified. The shortages were part of the southwestern Iran recording, highs above 50 Celsius. Iran is warming at roughly twice the global average, accelerating evaporation and exacerbating drought conditions. Extreme weather patterns, including alternating floods and droughts, have strained infrastructure. The shortages have also driven cross-border tensions. Holy shit. Wow. 19 of 31 provinces are currently experiencing severe drought conditions. Some towns dependent on trucked water deliveries and strict rationing. This is a serious problem for Iran. Despite everything that else is going on, they got to deal with that to help the people. That is horrible. And see, this is Saudi press. That was today. They're saying that there are people protesting. They're taken to the streets. That's just water. What about food? What about prices, inflation, medical care, everything else? How much can the people take? But even so, how do you resolve the problem? I'll tell you what would need to be done that could help a little bit. Desalination plant coming from the Caspian Sea. Infrastructure. Pipelines. They're going to have to think about this. Something's got to be done. They got to address this water problem. How Tehran became an awful place to live. Oh my God. Watch this later. I'm going to click it and I'll watch it later. This way it's on my history. Hold on. How Tehran became an awful place to live. I got it. This was 10 months ago. Iran was once called the Paris, somebody else said that in chat, of the Middle East. Now it's choking, collapsing, and corrupt beyond repair. Discover how history, misrule, and greed turned Iran's capital into a modern nightmare. Wow. Kava. Okay, hold on. Let me keep reading. Yes, my father says blackouts happen every day for 2 hours in Gilan. Yes, they have pumped so much water from underground that there has become a space under cities that can't be held by the weight of the city, so it's collapsing, sinking from the weight. Ancient cities like Yazd will sink underground. That is horrible. The Persian ancient culture, history. My God. In the south of Iran, build temperature around 122 Fahrenheit. Water cuts off every day, around 4 hours a day, middle of the day. No AC as well. Oh my God, these people are suffering. So despite what the regime says and projects this propaganda, they're not telling you about the humanitarian crisis going on in Iran. Because this is catastrophic for the people of Iran. Ancient, that's how you end up with the end of a civilization. Just look at the past. And the sad thing is, the regime don't care if their people die. Oh my God. They just refuse. At the sacrifice of their own people. I'm going to tell you, if you were dealing with normal, rational people, like another government, wouldn't they think about their people and compromise and try to come up with some kind of a deal to, and not even that, do humanitarian aid and help to address these crises? United States is more than willing to send the food, and this was mentioned in the past, from the farmers here in the United States, we're willing to send humanitarian aid. They want money, we'll give them food. And the bare necessities that is needed for the people of Iran, they refuse. That shows you how much they care about their people. We don't want food, we want the money. It's going to cost you to buy the food anyway. We'll give you food. We'll give you the medical supplies. They don't want that. It's so hard. It's so tragic because we're not dealing with rational people. I keep saying that. We're not dealing with rational people. Though we might think we can negotiate with these people, they're not rational. You cannot trust these people. The deal is a fantasy. I've been saying that for fucking months. It's a fantasy. But they need a way out of this. If there's no deal, and we keep hearing, how many times have we heard about a deal is closed, an agreement? How many times? I've lost count. How many times are they going to keep pursuing this deal? Well, now he puts out a statement yesterday. We're not dealing with them. We're not communicating with them. We're not talking to them. We're going to let the blockade do its thing. And I'm just going to sit back and see how this plays out. But how long that lasts, I don't know. You know, the sad part of all this, Bill, Greeks didn't destroy our civilization. They became Persianized. Arabs didn't destroy us. They became Persianized. Turks, I hear you. See, that's the thing that is incredible when you look at the history, the incredible culture of the Persian people, the Persian Empire. We look at it in such a small segment of that incredible history. What's up, 006? The rally was a joke on the 100 bikers where they were there. That's not true. I know you're saying that you on the ground. They have prevented a lot of the bikers from getting access to Dearborn with these yellow dump trucks. There were other bikers waiting to come in. We saw that yesterday. Completely overran by the Muslims and police let them do whatever they wanted to do, basically. I watched a little bit of it. But as far as you know, nothing cray-cray happened though, right? Because I haven't heard anything like there was widespread violence or anything like that. Thank God. And that the issue, they would sooner spend it on bombs. Exactly. They'll put all that money to rebuild the regime. IRGC, military, missiles, drones, and new toys. Learning from the experience now. How to counter the United States. They're not going to rebuild their navy. They don't need a navy. They'll rebuild the things that were effective. Unbelievable. Persepolis is so damaged and smashed up. That's so... See, you know what I would love to go to Iran for? And I told this to Sepp. Because he showed me a place that is so beautiful. And believe me, there could still be, God willing, I'm still alive. And I would travel to Iran. This beautiful place, I can't remember it. It is so beautiful in the mountains to the north by the Caspian Sea. And I don't know what it's called. You guys might know. It's got this big, large uphill staircase, like stone. You get to the top, there's like a temple up there. It is so beautiful. An ancient spot. That's what I want to see. I want to see the civilization, the history. Like an archaeologist. To see these incredible, ancient sites. That's what is that what it is? Good morning, Josh. Was plenty of fights? Really? I got rid of Discord. Is that it, Sean? Let me see, because I remember Sep telling me about it. I saw pictures. I'll tell right now if that's the place. That's it. That's it. That is it. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's what Sep said, Bill, we got to go there. That's it. I told him I might have a little problem getting up those stairs. It might take me a little time, but I'll do a lot of bike riding. That right there. I would love to go there and check that place out. Love it. That's what I'm talking about. That must be amazing. That must have been a big tourist attraction. The Rjukan Castle. Damn, that looks beautiful, man. I can't imagine. How old is that? Ancient Sasanian castle around 500. Wow. Have you watched how they live in the mountains? I wouldn't mind living there. It's so beautiful. I'm serious. Oh, I remember that conversation seeing this. Agree, beautiful, and would love to see. Right? Remember that conversation with Sep? What is the other one you're saying? Kava. You gotta let me know. I don't even. Is this an image? It's showing movies. This most famous city in Persia. Wow. Wait a minute. Is this it? Because I remember the old videos that Goldie shows of the, when the Shah was in power, that they had videos of them marching past this. If I remember correctly, if I'm getting that right, there were old videos that Goldie would play showing during the Shah times where they would have these processions, and I could swear that this was in the background. Am I right or wrong on that? Correct me. That is absolutely beautiful. Where is this located? Oh my God, that's stunning. That is absolute. That's like going to Egypt or to see the ancient, like Giza, and oh my God, that's gorgeous. But where is this? Some early civilizations, Persia was the capital of Persian Empire. I'm right about that with the old videos. Here was the ceremony capital of the Persian Empire around 500 BCE to 350 BC before Alexander the Great burned it. Wow. See, that's the thing. We need to preserve the culture. You know what I mean? That's so sad. Is it? I didn't know that. So you guys are teaching me something right now. What is this now? Pasargod? Pasargod. I'm going to spell this wrong. I know it. Oh, phone, stop the shit. Oh, that's got to be it. Is that it? Wow, look at all this beautiful. Oh my God. I want to go. Sauron Journey. Wow, they did a nice job of like cleaning up this area. I don't know what it looks like now. You've been there, it's amazing. They have been living there for thousands of years. It's special. Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God. And you see the culture, this would be such a big tourism boom for Iran. Do you realize how many people would love to travel to Iran to experience this? Well, I mean, Napi. Lots of damage from the IRGC. I would never condone hitting ancient sites ever. Ever. Look what ISIS did in destroying history and selling artifacts to freaking private collectors. Not just destroying it, but selling artifacts. A disgrace. Trying to erase history. This has to be preserved. And not only that, if I'm a Persian, this is my history. This is my ancient. We are one of the most sophisticated cultures of all time ever. The Persia. And if I was a Persian, I'd be very proud of that fact. And this is part of it, the history. And believe me, there would be some that would love to destroy it. I am definitely not one of those. I'm all about preservation, especially even here in our country here, preserving historical landmarks. Whether people like it or not, they're still historical. They represent history. And you want to remove that? Why? So people could forget history? People will eventually don't even remember it existed, especially the newer next generations moving forward. They won't even be aware that there was something even there because it's gone. That's so sad. So fucking sad. Like, I'm going to check that place out. Isn't it stunning, John? A lot of damage from SEPA. Kava says he's been there. It's amazing. Search. What? Bisotan? Bisotan. This is amazing. I would love to go. But wait, before I move on, where in Iran is this located? In what region? South, north, west, east? Where is this located? It's human history. That's right, John. They ransacked the Shah's palace. But wait, I'll an old church. Where? Bisotan. Wow, I've seen images of this before. I swear to God, I think I've seen this in movies. I think I've seen this in movies. Wow, look at that. What does the scripture say? It looks like there's writing there. Has that obviously that must have been translated. Oh hell yes, there is definitely. History, man, history. beautiful. Yeah, this has to be preserved for humankind, period. Humankind. I have to wonder, and I have to ask this question. Do you think that the IRGC built a missile base nearby this so nobody would hit it? I have to ask that question. I don't know. Would they do something like that? Like, put something near it? How dare anybody hit a site like this? I don't know. I mean, my God, that's so gorgeous. Now, what was the other one you said? Isfahan South? Or Kaju Bridge? What is that? This is beautiful. Oh my God, that looks freaking gorgeous. If that's what that is, oh, that must be awesome at night. It's not gonna load. There's a lot of places to tour in Iran. Wow, that is beautiful. I'm just gonna share it on the screen now because I was looking for a good picture. Are people allowed to go through it? Is it accessible to the public? This? It's in Shiraz. 200 what? I can't read without my reading glasses. So bad. 200 years old is not history. Iran. Say that to people in the United States. Not be 200 years of history is not history. Huh. Say that to an American here in the United States. They'll freak out if you say something like that. Iran is not history. Iran is the history. Egypt is history. Roman Empire is history. But we're talking about thousands of years, Napi. Kaju are 33. It has 33 bases under it. It does. 200 years looks like yesterday compared to Egypt. I mean, I guess it's in the eye of the beholder, right? About historical. I mean, when I look at the resting place of Cyrus, how old is that? And yeah, you're right. Back then, there was a lot going on. The Turkish Ottoman Empire, if you go way back in history. I mean, it depends on what time period you're picking. I love the way that looks. I would love to go there. Like right here, right near me, very close, George Washington headquarters is. That's a couple of 100 years old. And it's so historic to Americans. It's not that old, but it has so much important significance in American history. It ain't old, but it's historical. I would love to go to these places, my God. Like now you got me hunting. I mean, my God. The bottom line is this. no matter what type of history it is, it needs to be preserved. The culture. Doesn't matter if it's 5,000 years ago, 50 years ago, well, maybe a little bit more than that. Oh my God. Let's see, for the comparison, 200 years is 4,000 plus years civilization. What is the oldest history that we know of? I mean, if I was talking, I mean, even predating, I'm thinking Dilmun predates Sumerian. That was, a lot of people consider that to be the spark of civilization. And it is Iraq, Iran, it's in that region. Allegedly after the Great Flood. Think of the the poem of Gilgamesh. It goes way back. And I think a lot of it comes from that region. That's just my personal opinion. But I love reading the poem of Gilgamesh. And there are people out there that believe that the Bible, the concept of the Bible, is derived from Gilgamesh. It mentions a paradise garden. There's a lot of other references that are very similar to the Bible. Again, Dilmun, Sumerian, like somebody else mentions, Göbekli Tepe. But that's in that region. And of course, people have different opinions on that. And then they question about dating, all that, That's another whole topic to discuss. But it is fascinating. Then they find skeletal remains of a humanoid dating back like 100,000 years in Africa or somewhere else, and Persepolis, it has Indian writing everywhere on the monuments. That's fascinating. Göbekli goes back so back that we didn't know people back then, for example, could build a temple. I think the oldest recorded is the Mesopotamia. Yes. What was before Egypt? Don't tell me Adam and Eve. This is not a religious context. I just said, do you realize that was written before the Bible? So it can't be Adam and Eve. Poem of Gilgamesh was written before the Bible. That's why I referred to it as far as historical record. We were talking about that. Iran's capital was in Mesopotamia for like 1,000 years. Modern day Iraq is where most historians agree that the civilization appeared. The first, I was going to say, I had to reread that. Seleucid and Seleucid Empire and Sasanian Empire both are in Iraq right now. And I mentioned Iraq. And you're right about Mesopotamia. Again, I did research on this years ago. Because I knew somebody who was an archaeologist, and I still know him. I haven't been in contact with him because I can't get in contact with him. He's in the Philippines. And he's been there for years when he wasn't supposed to be. He's doing a fucking years-long excavation in the Philippines. It was not supposed to be that way. I was supposed to go to Vienna. He was going to do an exhibit with artifacts. And I was going to stay at his home. But it never happened. Because he got stuck in a project in the Philippines for the last 10 years. And he's still there. Search talk. I don't know if that's how that's going to come out. What is it? Talk. And then there's an I. Kisra? Wow. Now, what's the relevance of this image, Sean? What is this? What are we looking at? Okay, so it was the capital of Iran until the Arab invasion. Wow. Wow. See, I'm learning. I'm learning from you guys. It's written Klesbifan Bakol Tisfan. Capital of Iran from 200 AD to 650 AD. Like, fascinating. You know, it's so beautiful. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But I'm definitely gonna go with Sepp. Or people that I know. Sepp is a big guy. He's tall. He's over 6 feet. He's a tall dude. And I pray for him and his mom, and I know where he's at, and I'm thank God he's okay. That's all that matters. And his mom. That's the main thing, that he's okay. And his mom. I don't know if I can, because we brought this up. Okay, yeah. Like this, and I'm going to find a cool picture, because I have a lot of them from here. I have a real cool picture, though. I took so many. I was with Kriston when I went here. But I took a nice shot from the tower. There's Kriston there. I want to look for the nice picture. Talking about history. This might be it. Right here. It's not old. A little over 200 years old. But so fucking important to our history. George Washington's headquarters. I took it atop a tower. I was on the top of a tower when I took that photo. That is George Washington's headquarters, right near the Hudson River. And I did the whole tour with Kriston. We went to the museum, which is on the left. Went inside, got the whole tour. It was beautiful. So when you say 200 years isn't history, to Americans, 200 years is everything. Just saying in perspective. No offense to whoever said it, I forgot who said it, but that is very significant to us in our short history. Very short compared to, of course, others, civilizations. We're like one of the youngest. But the tower I took it at from was this one. I was on the top when I took that photo of that. I forgot what they call that. The Freedom Tower, Liberty Tower. I forgot what they call that. So, you know, like I said, that's very important to many of us. This is the view of the Hudson from the tower. Now, why did Washington pick this specific area? It's because of what you see on that screen. The mountains. And the snake-like pattern of the Hudson River there. It was strategic. It was a strategic point for the enemy The mountains, they would have to go through mountains, and they would have to try to get through the river, which was it was incredible what they did for defense, because I got every freaking picture. I took a picture of everything in the museum. They allowed me to do it. I took a picture of everything, in every case, every artifact, everything, guns, dinnerware, everything, even a piece of George Washington's hair. It was pretty cool. Kristan and I got, because we did it like as a news thing, like an interview. We got the full tour. It was freaking amazing. But they did this. I have the pictures. I have the pictures of his bedroom. Every room in the headquarters had a fireplace, because that's how they heated it. And then they created these things as bed warmers. It's fascinating, the history. But I want to see if I have it. This right here. This is so clever. They put these with chains, as you could see at the end, and they put it in the Hudson River, just underneath the water surface, so that when enemy vessels would come up the Hudson, they would hit these and sink. It was brilliant, strategically, what they did to defend the waterway coming up. It was unbelievable, the things that they made. The history is incredible. An old cannon. And again, an example of inside Washington's headquarters. His bedroom, I don't know if it's this one. I took pictures of everything when I went there. It's his desk. Now, this desk was not original to this location, but it was down by DC. This was his desk. This was George Washington's desk, and they moved it to his headquarters here. But that was his desk, and that's his. Like, this is George Washington's mirror in his bedroom. That is the actual mirror that George Washington used. Those are historical artifacts related to our president. And that's his bedroom. And then they had a place where he would work at the table with all his papers. I have everything. I took pictures of everything. So it was incredible. I don't know if this is... Oh, no. And they even showed us that. I don't remember where that was. I can't remember what part of the house that was in. I'm trying to find his bedroom. It was where the mirror is. I'm not sure. That's the tour guide. And this is during COVID. But it was beautiful. That's the point. History. Like I said, I got pictures, hundreds of pictures from this location. And I was lucky because they allowed us to do it. You have to see, like, I was looking to see if there was any connections to Masons, and like I took a picture of this just to see what it wrote, what it said. And then I took a whiteout shot. See, that's what it says underneath it. I was looking for any kind of connections. Keep within compass and you shall be sure. I was looking for any kind of references to anything. 17, I can't read the bottom, 17 something, 30 or 28. Look how old that is. That's an example. That's our history. And like I said, I took pictures of everything. Everything. Every showcase, every drawer, I took a picture of everything. I'm not kidding either. This is all about the compass. You have to see the beautiful artifacts. Oh my God. The money, the coins, the guns. They have it all. I'm telling you, and it's not expensive to take the tour. It's less than $10. And it's thorough. Like I'll show you one picture here of weapons. Let me see. Like I said, there's so much clothing. Look at the age of some of these artifacts. Native American. They have everything. Where is the freaking silverware? Where is the pictures? Like I said, I got so many pictures. It's cray-cray. That's not it. I gotta find it. Here's one. Some of the china. And look at the years. And I have, like I said, I took pictures of everything. It was beautiful. It was great. It was fascinating to see all this. It really was. I have so many pictures. It's crazy. I have too much. Look at this. If anybody comes up here, I'll take you. If you're interested. Now, I don't know how that's possible. The dates, I don't know if they're matching up properly. It's so much. This is kind of what it looked like back then. That's insane, like, to think how things have changed over time. And that's the headquarters. It's amazing. History. That's our history. A little snippet of it. All right, I'm going to see what you guys are writing. I am Taino Indian. I am Italian Indian in my blood. I think it's like 17%. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. I've even contacted officials in Puerto Rico, because there's a thing that you got to do to fill out to. But there's a long story why Taino in Hispaniola, and what one of my relatives tried to do to wipe them out and create and genocide. That again, the cat. The cat is driving me nuts out there. Uh-oh. My pharmacy has my medication ready to go. Like, did they look Mexico, Native American, a whole other different look? The Native Americans got wiped out from Euro disease starting 1600s from traders. It's more than that. They definitely brought disease and other horrible things. My ancestors, I've showed this before. I did my ancestry. I have capitans of the Spaniard army. I tracked it all the way back to the 1400s on how my relatives went part of Columbus and ended up in Puerto Rico. I am related to Ponce de Leon. I am related to Christopher Columbus's son. And I have the documents to prove it. That's crazy. And what Ponce de Leon did, he was brutal. He's one of the people that were involved in the genocide of the Taínos. These are my ancestors. A matter of fact, my eighth great grandmother is a Ponce de Leon. I'll try to log in. I don't know if this is going to work because I don't remember any of my passwords. I don't use Ancestry because they charge so much money. I did my research. They just charge a lot of money. Account not. Okay, so we're not going to sign in with that. I don't remember my password for this. It's been a long time. I know I'm going to fail. Sign in failed. That's the email. Fail. Someone's trying to log into your Ancestry. Oh shit, I'm in. I'm in. And there are people that contact me through Ancestry saying that we're related. Like right here, somebody. A relative that I don't even know contacted me. But she's a relative. She has my grandmother's maiden name. It's amazing. It makes you emotional. Now I will have to contact her and see if there is a connection. But this can get very emotional when you... Okay, let me see if I could search. Find in tree. So this is an example. How far back I was able to go. Pre-Columbus. This is my 11th. And I gotta be careful to what I show on the screen because there's private information there. I can't share this one because it doesn't have a score because there's not much information on him. My 11th great grandfather. He was born in Spain in 1460 and he died in Puerto Rico. So he was one of the first colonists to end up in Puerto Rico. I'm not going to say his name. He was born in Castilla-La Mancha, España. His son was born in 1515 in San Juan, Puerto Rico. But let me show you what I want to show you. It took me a long time to track all these documents. Almost a year. Contacting. Took me a lot of work and effort to do what I'm doing right now, showing you. I can't show that because there's private. Maybe I could scroll down on her. This is her, the Ponce de Leon connection. But I can't see the scroll bar, sadly, because I don't want. Okay. I'll show you. She married. See, one thing about the Spaniards, they married into other royal families, like the upper class establishment. They tried to keep it that way. Even when they went to Puerto Rico, they tried to have the family stay connected. So this is my 8th great grandmother. Oh, this phone is driving me nuts. This is my 8th great grandmother, and she's a Ponce de Leon. She's directly related to Ponce de Leon. So that's one. That's my 8th great grandmother on my Spaniard side. And this is how families would marry into each other. I'm actually English, 6%, because the Spaniards married into royal English family to create some kind of a relationship with the countries through the marriage. It's technical. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but let me show you one more. So what I'm telling you is real. And I can back it up. There's so much. It's just crazy. Oh, this shed is driving me crazy with the cats. I gotta shut this off. It's gonna drive me nuts. Where is the commander? Here's one. Now, I'm going to explain to you who this person is. This is crazy, what you're about to see. Let me just make sure I don't have no personal information. Oops, I almost did. Okay. This is my 8th great grand uncle, Capitan Don Diego Ramos Colon. Christopher Columbus's son was Diego Colon, and he was of the Spanish Royal Army, my 8th great grand uncle. Now, Hispaniola is about the islands. The Spaniards took the islands. So he was born in 1606 in Cuba, and he died in Puerto Rico. But Capitan Don Diego Ramos Colon, he is a direct relative of Christopher Columbus's son. That is fucking crazy. Now, in Spanish, Columbus is Colon. He wasn't Columbus. He wasn't Christopher. He was Cristobal Colon. That's Columbus's name in Spanish. Believe me, I did a lot of research on this. And see how they have it here? They have his name as, on Wikipedia, as Diego Columbus. Oh my God. That is so cray-cray. It is fucking crazy. Now, it's complicated. It's a complicated story, but they have him as Diego Columbus. It's Diego Colon. Diego Colon. They have it as Wikipedia has it as Diego Columbus. Oh shit. It's almost laughable. So yeah, there's that connection. They say he was the illegitimate son of Columbus in some places. So I'll show you here. It's controversial. Diego Colon. He was born in Portugal. On my fucking birthday. Oh my God, that's just sick. In Spain. Death in Spain. Look. Diego was born on Porto Santo Isle, and his mother died soon thereafter. Illegitimate children were later born to Christopher Columbus. However, Diego was his only heir and was buried beside his father upon death. Don Diego Colon. Did you not see that in my fucking ancestry? Don Diego Colon. It says it on my ancestry. My relative, my eighth great granduncle is a Don Diego Colon. He's related directly to Diego Colon. Was his only heir, I read that. Firstborn, see, was the firstborn of Cristobal Colon. That's Columbus. Also known in the English moniker Christopher Columbus. See? I need to bookmark that because that's a really good one for information about my ancestor. So I'll tell you how I feel about it. The Spaniards were cruel. My ancestors were cruel. If you didn't go with what, because they brought Christianity. I can't even tell you what the church, using the church, especially with dealing with the indigenous, because remember, the Spaniards went through the United States, let's call it the United States, into South America. That's why they speak Spanish. And in southern part of South America, they speak Portuguese. Why? Because the Spanish Armada and the Portuguese, they were the ones first, before the Europeans. There was the Spaniards and the Portuguese. And they were fucking cruel. Cruel to the indigenous. They, like you said, somebody in chat, they brought disease. They were conquerors. They were conquistadors. And if you didn't go by what they said, I don't even want to get into the details. So how do I feel about it? If I'm being realistic and honest, not too great. And because I'm Taino Indian, because they mixed with the indigenous, either willingly or forcefully, with the indigenous. You know what I mean by that. What the Spaniards did when they got to the islands. I don't know if I'm indigenous by force or by them willingly being with someone was willingly wanting to be with them. I don't know the answer to that. And you know the word I don't want to use. And see, I'm being realistic. I could simply say here, oh my God, look how powerful my ancestors were. They were conquerors. They were doing this. They were fucking cruel. But I guess that's part of the conquest, right? Conquer, destroy, take it over. We've seen that in history how many times? That's it. So that's just my honest assessment on it. I'm not going to be in denial or lie to myself. You know what I'm saying? I have far worse in my blood, like props of being Turkish Iranian. I get that, Bean. I get it. I get what you're saying. And I can't say anything about the Hesburgh. I may have found planned connection. Yikes, but within our history, I have an ancestor that was a big part of the Culpeper Rebellion. I can't bring myself to ask you the question. You can ask anything you want. I'll answer it honestly. Some of them were on Columbus's ships directly. I know they were on one. I can't remember which one. He was a conquistador. Military. You can ask. I'm okay. You can ask. You can ask it. I'm not sitting here in denial. But anyway, that's a little bit part of my history, you know. Isn't that crazy being related directly to Christopher Columbus's son? Or Ponce de Leon? That is wild. That is wild. And you'd be surprised, all of you watching and viewing, you'd be surprised what you'll find when you dig into your ancestry. Because Europe was very interconnected. And you'll see, the further back you go, there could be a serious mix going on because of that. Like I said, there's English, there's Russian, there's German, there's all kinds, even African, very slight, but and I think that has to do with the slave trade. It's less than 2%, but it's there. It shows up. And they say not to count that when it's under 2%, but it's there. I have the map that shows my background. It's fucking all of Europe. It's all of Europe. And then indigenous, because of the Taino, it shows that I'm Native American, but it shows United States. It shows all the... It's not. It's the Tainos in Puerto Rico. If I had to guess. It's okay. Don't worry, Sean. It's fine. I believe so. There was an uprising, yes, and it was Ponce de Leon that squashed the uprising. Who said that? Bean? Correct. What do you blame them for? They took over their territory, their land, Hispaniola. They were taking over. They were trying to defend their land. That's the uprising. And they fucking pretty much did genocide with the Tainos in the whole region. You are speaking truth with that. I started doing my ancestry a few years ago, and it's wild and emotional. It is very emotional, especially if you see recognizable names, and then if you look at the history, how they were involved in history. And like I said, some of it may not be pretty. So it's like, can you handle it? Can you handle it? Because the answers you seek may not be the answers you want. It happened to me. And another thing too is about the Spaniards were great at keeping documents. That's how it was somewhat not so difficult to deal with by tracking of, because it was all about documents. And that's how you did it. You know how I started Ancestry? From my relatives coming in from Puerto Rico in the 20s and 30s. It's easy. Census. You look them up on the census, and it'll show you a copy of their signatures on the census, who came in. It's incredible that I can give you tips on how to go about it. Now, it's more difficult if there's families here that have been here since the pilgrimage, because then they got to track it back here and then figure out the point where they came in from Europe, and then track it in Europe going further back in time. Because there are families here that have been here for generations. And you can track that as best as you can, the historical records here in the United States. The tricky part is when it gets to where you got to go back to Europe or wherever the other locations are to try to get documents going back further in time. I was lucky with the Spaniards because they kept excellent documentation. So it's a little tricky. They did. You're right. And you know what's crazy? Puerto Rico, before it was the United States took control of it, for hundreds of years, Puerto Rico also had other European settlers on the island. It wasn't just Spaniards. There was a lot of Europeans of different countries that went and settled on the islands too. A lot of people don't realize. You know, when people tells me, "Oh, you're Puerto Rican," and what does that mean? Do you know what it is to be a Puerto Rican? Why do you even say it that way? Do you know? It's a lot deeper than you realize. It's actually, you could be a descendant of one of those other European ancestors that were there. It could be the Spaniards. It could be the African slaves. It could be the Taino Indians. It's so funny how people are so narrow-minded when they stereotype a group of people without knowing the history. And this goes back to like Iran, Persia, everything else, like you guys know about. That's why I'm bringing all this up. Because the further you go back in history and time, you realize how much more complicated it is. It is not simple. It may be simple for some. You know what I mean? Yeah, I went back as far as, for me, the 15th century. I could go back as far the 1400s something. I couldn't get further past that. I tried. It got really difficult. There's stuff we got to talk about, and then I'm going to get off because I'm enjoying the outdoors today. Dutch. I don't remember saying Dutch. I would have to go back and look at my ancestry chart because I have so many people on my ancestry chart. Hundreds. I was able to put together hundreds. And remember, you got to talk about this, how you do it. Your mother's your mother's parents, and then both sides of those. Your father's parents, and then both sides of those. So you've got a lot of work to do. That's a lot. You got to track down all the history regarding their parents, both sides. It's a lot of work. So again, I don't want to get stuck on this. I was trying to say we're talking about history. They want your DNA facts, absolutely. It's the database. It's definitely part of the database for DNA. There's no question about that, Fringe. That's why a lot of people won't do it. That's a fact. I hit the Welsh, English, Scottish, Irish area of the 1500s. Wow. It is tangled, right? But not too tangled for you because it stayed in one region. Welsh, English, Scottish, Irish area of the 1500s. That's a fascinating history. Going back. Seriously, that's awesome. And you should be proud of your heritage and your ancestry too. It's not just all gloom and doom. You know? I hate to say this, but at the same time, a lot of the religion was brought in here from Europe. Catholicism, Christianity, where did it come from? The Spaniards were a big part of that. The church. Even in South America, a lot of them are Christian. Why? The Spaniards brought it. They built churches all over the place, even in the United States. Spanish churches. Santa Fe, New Mexico. There's so many places. They went south. They brought that. They brought the language, Spanish, South America. Those were indigenous people just like everybody else was indigenous. They brought that here. Religion, disease, etc. Europeans did the same thing. They brought it here to the Americas. That's why. And you are correct, Sean. That's why if they did not abide by the religion, they would use force, and if you didn't, it wouldn't end up well for those people. Yes. Force if necessary. Yes. That's the ugly dark side. That's the dark side of using religion by the use of force, to force them. Religiously in the U.S., we didn't force Christianity. Our founding fathers specifically stated the church cannot and will not be the government. Do you see the separation of church and state today when it's politicized? One side is evil. We're the good guys. We are all about Christianity, and the other side is evil. And do you see that? The separation? I don't. It's politicized. It's weaponized. Religion has become weaponized. That's a fact. Should that be going on? To demonize another side that opposes? Using religion? I don't think so. Because that was never the intent. So, just to say, put that part in there. Yes, I mean, again, it just didn't appear here. It was brought here. I have close Native American friends who I highly respect. And when you speak to an indigenous person and their history and get their point of view, the church is still not the government. Christianity is 100% involved, but the church itself is not. It's not about the church being involved. It's the politicization of using religion, representing that specific church, religion. We're not talking about the physicality of it or this. I mean, are we talking literal, figuratively? So again, when we start doing that, that's dangerous, in my opinion. The weaponization of religion. What are we criticizing Iran for? A theocracy? A religion that we deem as evil, with evil intentions? Immigrants kept their views, and that birthed core Christians. Even our founding fathers were, but they purposely avoided adding the Catholics or the Lutherans due to the past they lived. And they made it clear in the Constitution. No? Was freedom of religion specifically for one religion? The separation? I think they kind of made it clear. Now, people could misinterpret it or interpret it however they want. And that's always where the argument lies, the interpretation. That's why things are brought to the Supreme Court to challenge. And that's where, that's obvious. There is a much larger issue with our legal structure. Our rights are granted by a higher power. Whose higher power? Again, if religion is to be respected by all, for all, is one above the other? And I'm a Catholic. Our rights are granted by higher power, and so without the religion of our founders, it's hard to argue for the rights granted to us. I agree. Again, it's a fine line. It is a fine line. Because it drives me nuts. And that's one of the reasons I became such a moderate independent. When I see that they're demonizing other and saying that they are not Christians, or they are. Just because they disagree with you, you demonize them. I'm not saying anybody in chat. Because they don't agree with you, they can't be Christians. They're evil. They're a bunch of Satan worshipers. Do you know how offensive that is to a person in the United States? Because this party is saying, we represent Christianity. Oh, the other party has Christians too. What are you saying? That they're not? To me, that's disgusting. And that's why I say the weaponization of religion. People that disagree with you, and they can be equally Catholic or Christian or Lutheran or Mormon or whatever, but because they have a different political view, they are not true Christians. That's where the problem is. Let me see what she's saying. History is made by the victors. No doubt about that, Fringe. My father's half-sister is the Blood tribe. I grew up too with natives. We will never know the top 3 families that ruled the world. The Bible, I might add, has been written and rewritten, yes. Why? To divide and separate. So again, this is complicated. Well, in this context, the higher power of the writers of our founding documents, our rights are endowed by our Creator. Of course, under God. For sure. Or wording similar is written in our founding documents. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, if you were to say, what were our founding fathers' religious beliefs? I think you pretty come up with the simple answer. Christians, Catholics, what were they? And that is what we abide by, and that is our Constitution, written by our forefathers. But they also made it clear the freedom of expression, freedom of religion for all. What does that mean? And again, the separation of church and state. Is it literally a church or the religion of church and politics in state? If we're going to be simple, we could just say, oh, it's the physical church and the state. What does that mean? What's the interpretation there? Church is the representation of the religion. If we're going to say our founding fathers, what is the church? What is the religion that our founding fathers' belief system is? The church. What is the church? What church? And I think they made it pretty clear to keep the religious component out of the governmental running. That's the state. And remember, this is the early stages of government policy and government decision making, the state part. They saw theocracy as a threat. Potentially. They were visionaries. Our forefathers were incredible human beings. Brilliant philosophers, thinkers. It's almost like they had a premonition of what would be in the future. That's incredible how the Constitution has held in its values, its moral principles, the law of the land. It's incredible how brilliant these individuals were. Brilliant. And it is become a huge legal conundrum. That's why I mentioned the Supreme Court. Absolutely, Bean. Exactly. But think about how people that immigrated to this country were treated. The Irish, the Italians, etc. Not well. The key figures of founders were Christians, many of the denominations, mainly Protestant and Orthodox, with some Catholic. Believe it or not, I see that a lot too about the Orthodox and Jewish and the immigration aspect of it afterwards. 1800s. There's a lot to dig in. It's belief in God and belief in government, totally two different subjects to trust in. Agreed. Hence why John Adams and Jefferson made sure the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and totally agree. Totally agree. That's why I brought it up. Yes, they took steps to keep it separate, but then placed the justification of our rights on a creator. Again, it's a pledge under God. Our national anthem. We were talking about that yesterday, how I remember doing that in school. That's our forefathers. That's exactly it. I totally agree. But it's important. The First Amendment. Everything in the Constitution is important. Second Amendment, First Amendment, everything. Side of house. What happened here? Ha! A cardinal bird's flying past the camera set it off. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm gonna, because this is a very, it's a controversial topic because, you know, we all feel very passionate and religious. Like I said, I'm a Catholic. You're not going to get an argument from me. But I also respect other people's ways of how they pray and what they don't pray. I respect all people. Different faiths, or whether they don't pray at all. That's them. That's their business. That's their life. And that's also about being individual and the separation of that. I'm not going to force my beliefs on anyone else, as I don't want them to force their beliefs on me like Sharia law. That crosses the line. That's force. So again, that's unacceptable. It's one thing to do something from your own free will and not to be coerced or forced. That's totally unacceptable. And that's why we need to confront that. Because if we allow it, that sets a dangerous precedent. It also jeopardizes our belief in our Constitution. That can go all the way to the Supreme Court. And it should. Supreme Court should rule on it. No one can impose by force all laws in our country some kind of a theocracy or, I mean, again, we have like this is a red community, conservative community, and there are many churches here and people of faith, but there are all types of churches. I don't know if there's any mosques up here, but it's not being forced on anyone. If you want to go to this church or that church or this church, whatever. Great. But it's not like we're forcing you to abide by our religious laws if you live here. Fuck that. This is America. This is United States. That ain't going. You are not forcing your freaking laws on the rest of us. No. You know what I'm saying? The opening made the First and Second Amendment so that people could always protect the First. They never said freedom from religion. Simply that you could practice your faith without government interference. Again, there's like I said, we have to protect the integrity of the Constitution, but not weaponize it against other people that you dislike or don't agree with you. I ain't for that. But again, it's moral principles, moral values, things that we cherish, our faith in God. You know how I am. But nobody is to force anyone else. I don't care what it is. That's out. That's out. And that's why I truly believe, and I don't know if people in Congress would have the spine, and it'll be contested, and then it goes to the Supreme Court. Let's see what the Supreme Court decides. Because let's just say Congress passed a law banning Sharia law being enforced in any communities anywhere in the United States, which is a no-brainer to me. And it passes Congress. You know someone's going to try to take it to court. It's going to go through the process, through all the courts, till it gets to the Supreme. I want to see that happen. I want to see this put into law. That it is against the law to force, by a law, to have Sharia law in anywhere in the United States. You're forcing people that are not part of that religion to abide by your laws? That is insane. Let's just take Dearborn, for example. I'm just using Dearborn. And I don't live there. But let's just say this. 40% of a Muslim community there. And the people that were so-called elected there want to now impose in a meeting, they want to pass a law that Sharia law will be put into effect by all those living in the community that are Muslim. So they're trying to separate it from the rest of the community. Should try to do it starts somewhere. See what I'm saying? You take it to one point and see how far you can push it. It sets a precedent. When this is allowed, they'll push it to the next. You need to stop it. And I'm sure there's a lot of Muslims that live in those communities that definitely don't want to live under Sharia law. Let's just even say if that happened. I'm sure they don't want nothing to do with it. Forcefully making them abide by a law, a religious law. And then where does it go from there? It spreads, and they'll try to push it further. Could you imagine trying to pass Sharia law for the entire city of Dearborn? That's instant civil war, immediate, right there. They would forget about it. I don't even want to think about it. So what I'm saying is, maybe they need to take this up in Congress, pass a law prohibiting that from happening anywhere in the United States. Period. And then let them take it to the courts if anybody wants to oppose it, a civil rights group or whatever. Let's take it to the Supreme Court and let the Supreme Court decide. And put it into law once and for all. And end this nonsense. Period. Period. What's the difference between that and the Amish? I've been to the Amish communities. They are very to themselves, private. Now, if you want to say that the Amish have some kind of a cultish thing going on between them, if that's your opinion about looking at it that way, but that's them. Those people are there. Those are families. They've been, that's part of their lifestyle. But I don't know if the Amish are, when I went there, it wasn't like I had Amish people, and I've been there numerous times. I got Tycho from an Amish breeder. They were very nice, polite. It wasn't like I felt any pressure to become an Amish person. I mean, I don't live there. They have their certain ways of living. And we hear about people that don't like that lifestyle and have left those communities. But they were... Yeah, same thing here. There's a Hasidic place, a town right next to me, Kiryas Joel. It is completely controlled by the Hasidic. They bought the property, they controlled the town, everything. Why would I want to move there? Now, again, there's a fine line. But they created these communities for their own populace. Now, I'm sure there are people that are not of Hasidic that live there. And they even have their own laws. I could give you another example. Right next to me, not too far, about an hour away, there's a place, what's it called, the lake? Tuxedo Park. It is a completely gated high-class community with its own police. No one's allowed in there. What about that? Look it up, Tuxedo Park. It is a completely gated off community. There's a lake, Tuxedo Lake there, with its own police force, with their own rules. And you are not allowed entry unless you have permission to enter that gated community. And it's huge. What about that? That's allowed in the United States, huh? So we can pick and choose different scenarios. And that's in New York. If the only way I could get in there is if I was delivering something to somebody or if I knew somebody that lived there and they invited me to come in. Otherwise, I'm not getting in there. They won't allow me in. I'm not allowed. And there's police, their own police there. Nothing to do with anything else. They have their own police force. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. And that's true. It's not forcing an ownership that is the difference. True. But it's a wild thing. I know people who got invited and then tried to take a sample of the water because of a UFO thing, and they had to crawl in with camouflage and take a sample out of the lake so they weren't detected. Because they would have been arrested by the police. Their own police. This is Tuxedo Park. They have their own freaking... It's incredible. Village police. They have their own police department. It is a gated community. Completely gated. And it's big. And it's a definite place of money. There's a lot of history here with people that have lived in Tuxedo Park. That's a view of it. And like I said, it's gated. You are not allowed in there. Like I said, it's a private gated community. And you're not allowed in. Unless you have a permission to enter. If you're not a resident. It's fucking wild. See, look. A Gilded Age enclave north of Manhattan with ties to Albert Einstein and J.P. Morgan remains a bastion for quiet wealth. The gated community was originally conceived as a hunting retreat for the Manhattan elite, and its privacy still attracts actors and bold-faced names. It's completely fucking cut off from everybody else. And there it is. It is entirely gated. It has its own police department. So, like I said, you can buy your way in if you have the money. It's the only way. Now, I could also say that there are subdivisions. Like I had a house in a subdivision. Homeowners Association was a disgusting disaster. That's kind of our own little... It's not gated, but it is kind of our own little area. And we have security, cameras, all that, you know. It's not cut off from everyone, like gated, but it is kind of our thing. If that makes it's hard, I'm not trying to compare, but it was like, it was kind of weird because it felt almost like it was gated. You know what I mean? Especially with the homeowners association and everybody's business. And they were like the security of the whole fucking subdivision. So again, this is... It's like I said, look up Curious Joel. They moved from New York City and they made this community up in New York just for the Hasidic population. And they have their own laws. So, I'm going out. I'm not sitting here. It's another one built. Here's another example. In New York, not far. A Hasidic enclave built on community and self-reliance. There you go. So they got out of the city. What truly sets Curious Joel apart, though, isn't just safety, it's moral infrastructure. They have, it is a kind of an isolated, closed off, with their own school system, their own laws, same thing. No matter how people try to paint it. They never mention the absence of crime. They never mention children working freely at night. They never mention families adopting special needs. They never mention volunteer emergency services that arrive faster than most paid departments. They never mention, just networks that quietly replace entire welfare bureaucracies. They never mention business employing thousands of people across the country. And this is what they're trying to highlight are the pros of having a community like that. So, again, you have this. This is about an hour away to my south, maybe a little more. But nobody's forced to be there. Exactly, but they have a choice. Exactly. They have a choice. They're not being forced. People choose to live there. People choose to move there. Fringe, what's going on? Pass the plate. The church needs your money. Oh, my God. Remember that Tammy Faye Baker? Oh, my God. I remember that. Oh, my God. I remember that. Wow. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, Fringe. So, yeah. I mean, you could look at different examples. You could spin it. You could do whatever, you know. But as far as forcing someone, a religious, on everyone affected in a community, where it's not just a population of Hasidic or Amish, there are others, and it affects them under a law that you're trying to impose, a religious law, that everyone must abide by? Oh, God, no way. This has nothing to do with me. I'm a Catholic. That your law, your religious law, has nothing to do with my religion. That's crossing the line. I'm not abiding by your religious law. Do you see? You know what I'm saying? Exactly, Mr. Brenza. That's why I said it would be taken all the way to the Supreme Court and challenged in the Constitution. Exactly. That's exactly. That can't happen. The Establishment Clause of the Constitution prevents that. But that doesn't mean that somebody might try and then challenge it. You know how many things even our governor in New York has tried to pull some shit and it goes to the Supreme Court? Unconstitutional. Sometimes it takes that to challenge. That's what I'm saying. There's a process. And sometimes it takes that. You know what I mean? Lower courts can rule on settled constitutional law. It wouldn't go to the Supreme Court. It depends on the appeal process. I mean, put it this way. Look at the ballroom. Now, Congress hasn't officially approved it, not that I'm aware of. And it's going through the courts, and now the president wants to take it to the Supreme Court. Under the Constitution, the Congress has to have a say in anything that happens. Because that's the people's house. It can be challenged through the courts and be eventually taken all the way up to the higher courts. They could settle constitutional law. Do you know how many things have been challenged and it goes all the way up because in the name of the Constitution? If they want to take it and appeal it, it'll go. It might take time, but it will go. So it's complicated. Uh-oh, wait. Something just came out on Telegram. I'm going to get off soon because I got to get outside. This is going to be a beautiful day. I think the president made some statements. Who the fuck are you? I see a lot of trolls, scammers on Telegram. Oh my God. I think I need to go look. Did he make statements or did he put a True Social post? Because they're putting something else here. Okay, they're playing. This was today. I want to see what he said. They're sharing this clip where the president made a statement. I got to hear this. I think he said this. When did he say this? So allegedly, what's the date? Is this from today?
You know why? Because they... About what?
Reopen negotiations.
Maybe at some point, but right now, I think the situation is so good. But maybe at some point. Look, it's very simple. They have to get rid of completely. They have to get rid of no nuclear weapons. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. You know why? Because they'd use it. And we're not going to let them use it. So Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they won't.
So what he was saying, the question was, are you open to reopening negotiations with Iran? That was the question. It was hard to hear it. Here's another clip. Let's see what it says. He says,
the Strait, last night we had a lot of boats come through. We have possession, complete control of the Strait. I mean, outside of nuisance value, and there is nuisance value when they shoot a drone every once in a while, and not everybody's going to go through, but they come through.
if it's completely open, then how is it that some cannot get through? Because of Iran harassing shipping? If it's completely open, but some can't get through, which one is it? Is he referring to Iranian vessels that can't get out because of the blockade? I don't know. Here's another clip. They're going crazy with these clips.
In fact, people are amazed. One of the reasons that oil hasn't gone to like the proverbial $300 a barrel, it's at 83, 84, 85. And it'll be a lot lower when this is over because we have plenty of oil. But one of the reasons it never went into 3 and 350 numbers because we do. We have a lot coming in. And people are finding alternatives too. And you know one of the alternatives? Texas. You know another one? Alaska. Louisiana. They're coming to the United States to get oil. And people say, oh, you shouldn't say that because it makes it sound, well, it is what it is. I mean, they're coming to Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska to get oil.
And you know what? I would have followed it up with that question. What about our oil reserves? Are you addressing that? If we have so much oil and we're selling it overseas, what about our oil reserves? That needs to be addressed. So they were, that's the clips that I see coming out. They're spreading it. They're regurgitating the same stuff. The same clips. It's all over the place. I don't know if this one's any different.
About what?
Yeah, it's the same clip.
Maybe at some point, but
Same clip. The Iran supporters are posting these clips with the president.
being hurt very badly by Canada. Yeah.
Oh, this is Canada.
The Strait, last night we had a lot of boats come
Same
through.
one. So it's spreading. They're putting the same clips.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you.
Are you exchanging written letters with Kim Jong-un?
Can't tell you that.
And are you hoping
But I get along with him. And you know what? The fact that I get along with him, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. Should have never allowed it to happen. They should have never allowed it. If I were president, I wouldn't have allowed it. But he's got them. I get along with him very well. You can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And I know Kim Jong-un very well, and he's going to be fine. As long as we have a smart president, he's going to be fine. If we have a dumb president, then he's probably not going to be so fine. Yeah, I will be.
Well, what's going to happen? I think they're planning, I read that, November to meet when he's overseas for the summit. Yeah, they're spreading the same clips. Yeah, that's what the latest was coming out on Telegram. They're posting his clips of what he said. Okay, let me go back to what you guys are saying here because I'm getting off. I got to get outside. He also talked about making a deal with Canada. Yes, actually, I just read that. I didn't put it on the screen. They're negotiating right now, and he delayed it for 3 days. I just read it. I didn't put it up on the screen, or I forgot now who mentioned it. Right here, Reuters. U.S. and Canadian trade negotiators are continuing talks after President Donald Trump delayed planned 50% tariffs on roughly $20 billion in Canadian goods for 3 days. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says substantial progress has been made, but key issues remain unresolved, including autos, dairy, and alcohol market access. The temporary reprieve gives both sides additional time to finalize a broader trade agreement before the tariffs could take effect. That's from Reuters. To what? Who was it? Faye? Yeah. We already played that. All right, they're just restating what we just heard. And that's the latest. That's the last telegrams. Except for that one. Lebanese President Joseph Abraham Razak Air Base on the outskirts of Rome, Italy. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, that's another thing. What was it? 30,000 soldiers were sent from North Korea to support Russia's campaign against the Ukrainians. I think I saw something about that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm going to go outside and enjoy myself in this beautiful weather because we don't have many days like this left. Love to all of you. Be well, be blessed, be safe. And God bless wherever you all are. I know there's people here from the UK and Netherlands, all over the place. But for me, I'll just simply say for us here, God bless our president. God bless our troops, their families, everyone, everywhere. I can go on and on thanking and sending blessings to so many, like our farmers and truckers and first responders, law enforcement, etc. All those people out there that are doing positive for the country and the community. And everyone. I mean everyone. Even a person that works at McDonald's. serving the public. Everyone who's doing something productive in society. Everyone. So with that, I'm going to bail out. Have a great one, everyone. And I'll see some of you later, hopefully. All right, I'm going to go. Have a great rest of your afternoon, morning, day, night, whatever it is. Last one. Israeli artillery targeted the town of Maiz al-Jabal in southern Lebanon. Oh, God, this guy, the Yemeni Yellow. The Yemeni armed forces have announced a major strategic shift, declaring that they have reached a level of military capability that allows them to dictate regional equations. With the Strait over there. All right. Yes, I'm going to go. Exactly. I'm going to go enjoy the weather.